There was something interesting that I remembered hearing. During, I believe, the Chunin Exams, when Neji and Naruto were fighting, Neji mentioned that people's fates were already predetermined by birth and their place in life. Naruto butted against this, and what the entire story seemed to show was that even a lowly ninja could be whatever they wanted, and even a slave could be free. That was the message. But by the end of the series, we learn that not only is Naruto the son of a Hokage, but he's also the reincarnation of another very powerful ninja. And to drive it home even further, Neji sacrificed his life to protect Hinata. So instead of proving Neji wrong, all the series did was prove that Neji was right, and that people's fates are determined from their birth and class. This left a bad taste in my mouth, despite the fact that I love Naruto's Otsutsuki origins and his connection to Hashirama Senju, but I know that everyone wants to see it play out a little differently. So let me show you a world where Naruto is no different from your average shinobi. No Asura reincarnation, no Hokage connections, hell, no nine-tailed demon fox. Naruto is just a boy living by himself, unremarkable but possessing the drive to become Hokage. So let's see if we can prove Naruto right and see if his gifts and place of birth somehow affect who he is going to become. Please direct your gaze up into the eye of the moon and allow me to show you this world, a world where Naruto wasn't overpowered. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The alarm went off. Beep, 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 beep. That same dreadful monotone sound playing endlessly on a loop, designed to wake someone up peacefully, but instead only generated annoyance the moment someone's eyes opened. Naruto opened his eyes and looked at the clock. 7 a.m. The sun was only barely rising over the horizon. Naruto looked at the clock that continued beeping incessantly. I gotta get me one of those clocks that play the radio instead of an alarm. He rolled over in bed until he got to the clock. Standing up, he would go through the daily motions of grooming and getting his proper attire on. And by proper attire, I mean a neon orange jumpsuit that definitely shouts, "I'm stealthy." He would go into the kitchen and make himself something to eat. A quick meal. Honestly, most kids had to wake up at 6, but Naruto always scheduled himself an extra hour of sleep at the cost of a long breakfast. He would then make his way out. The sun was only now peeking over the distant walls of the village proper. As he walked, his shadow led the way. The people were already hard at work opening their shops and stores. They would wave to him and he would wave back. Always such a good kid, they would say. Naruto kept going on his way toward the academy. He got there just as the other kids were lining up outside. He just sort of stood there. As time passed, he saw a boy walking in. He had black hair and a piercing gaze. The boy's name was Sasuke Uchiha, the last Uchiha. All the kids whispered about him and parted, getting out of his way. Naruto always wondered what was so special about Sasuke. Why did everyone fear him like this? He once asked the kids why, and the kids would tell Naruto that it's because he was an Uchiha, a member of a clan that tried to destroy the Hidden Leaf, and that he possessed the nine-tailed demon fox, according to what their parents said. The kids always avoided Sasuke, and Sasuke didn't seem to care. Maybe this is exactly what he wanted, to be alone. No, nobody wanted to be alone. Even if they said they did, people didn't tend to like it. It wasn't a good thing. And so as days passed along, Naruto couldn't help but sit at the same table as the boy, though he would be mostly ignored. I guess that's alright too, Naruto thought as he looked out the window. He didn't wish to force Sasuke to interact with him. He just wanted to let him know that he was open should he want to talk. This was how it always was. Every day. Naruto was always open and Sasuke always paid him no mind. Naruto was a little offended by it, but nothing that he would actually show. Maybe Sasuke had a reason for this. Looking at the way he was treated by the other kids, he understood why he would probably be closed off. It was too bad that there was nothing they could do. But honestly, there wasn't much time left to try. This was their last week in the academy. Naruto was certain he would pass the class this time. He'd been held back a few times already this year, but on the day of the final exam, while he had passed all other tests with flying colors, he came to the point where he had to create a perfect clone and completely failed. Because of that, he was not allowed to graduate with the others. Enter depression. Naruto was beginning to feel like he would never pass. He couldn't even make a simple clone of himself or anyone else. As he sat on the swing in deep thought about his failures, disappointment painted on his face, Iruka couldn't help but notice. Everyone else in his class had passed except for him. Iruka remembered reading that Naruto's parents were killed during the Nine-Tails demon attack, which meant that he didn't have anyone at home to tutor him. His heart bleeding for the boy, Iruka walked over to Naruto. "Hey." Naruto looked up silently. Iruka knelt down next to him. "I know you're upset, but don't give up, okay? A lot of shinobi stumble over certain subjects. Do you know what you gotta do when you're not proficient in something?" Naruto just listened. Iruka smiled. "Practice, practice, and practice. I've convinced the Academy's principal to allow you to take the test one more time tomorrow, but this is the last time you get to do it before they make you retake the year." Naruto hung his head low. "Doesn't matter. Won't pass it." Iruka put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. "You will. I'll make sure of it." Naruto looked up questioningly. Iruka smiled down at the boy. "We're gonna spend all night training to do this." Iruka began to leave the academy grounds, motioning Naruto to follow. Naruto would do as bidden and follow Iruka. "Where are we going?" he would ask. Iruka would look back and smile again. He led them to a training area. "We're gonna train here all night if we have to, until you make the perfect clone." And so they did. Iruka stood there with Naruto the whole time. "Remember, clear your thoughts. Don't think of anything, just focus on your own image." "I don't know what I look like. I only ever see myself in the mirror, and I know that's not what I look like to anyone else." Iruka nodded. "Well, that makes sense." He would take out his phone and begin recording. "What are you doing?" Naruto asked. "I'm just taking a video of you. We need to get a reference to go off of. I know you have it in you. With that sexy jutsu you came up with, you have an eye for detail. You just gotta use it." He would show Naruto the recording. Naruto looked at it. "Okay, let me try." He would perform the clone jutsu again. This time, it wasn't completely bad. It wasn't good by any means, as it didn't entirely look like Naruto, but at least it wasn't misshapen. "Close. Try again." And so Naruto would practice all night, slowly becoming better and better until eventually he made a perfect clone. He would jump around for joy, having made his first perfect clone, but Iruka told him not to call it quits yet. Naruto needed to keep practicing and make it muscle memory, so that when he needed to do it fast, he could just pop into the form. Naruto nodded and would proceed to continue training. This went on until about midnight. At that time, Iruka would go out with Naruto to get something to eat before sending the boy home to rest. The night passed by quickly and the next day arrived. Naruto would make his way to the near empty academy where he would pass through the doors and make his way. He would head to the test room that he had been in the day before where he'd be standing in front of the proctors. Iruka was there to watch from the background. One of those judging his performance spoke. "All right, you may begin." Naruto felt his heart racing, his throat closing up. His breathing was sporadic. His hands, shaking, put themselves together and he made a clone. It was the most pitiful looking clone he had ever made. Naruto looked at the clone and wanted to die. Tears began to run down his face as he rushed out the room. Iruka heard one of the judges sigh. "Another washout." Iruka stepped forward. "Please, don't let him fail yet. He can make one, I know it. I saw him do it. He's just nervous. Don't be hard on him." The judge looked at Iruka. "If his nerves are so bad that he can't even make a clone in a friendly environment, do you think he'll be able to do it in a hectic one?" Iruka nodded. "I do. I just think he's psyching himself out. Please, give him another shot." The judges sighed. "Fine, we'll give him another shot. That is, unless he's already gone." Iruka bowed. "Thank you, I'll bring him back." Iruka would leave the room and go into the hall. He would see the boy crumpled up into a ball beside the lockers like an old, used-up piece of paper. Iruka walked over and knelt down. "Come on now, no need to cry. A real shinobi doesn't cry during missions, remember? Remember the shinobi code?" "That's for real shinobis," Naruto said through crying. "I'm just a failure." Iruka put his hand on his shoulder. "That's not true, Naruto. You're not a failure. You're going to make a good shinobi. Listen, I've convinced them to give you another chance, but you gotta come back to do it." "I'll fail again," Naruto shouted. Iruka sighed. "Well, you will with that attitude." "Listen, Naruto. If you fail, it's not the end of the world, nor is it the end of your dreams. It's just another year to train harder and grow stronger. Then, when you have to take the test again, with all the progress you've made in one night, I bet you won't make 1, but 10 clones. True shadow clones. But you can't give up. You gotta believe that you'll succeed. You gotta believe it." Naruto looked up at Iruka. The Chunin's kind smile shined upon him. "Now show me how brave you are. Win or lose, you're still Naruto. Go show the world what grit and determination look like." He helped Naruto stand. "Okay, I'll do it." Iruka would lead him back into the room. "Pardon the delay, I think he's ready now." The judge sighed and nodded. Iruka moved back and out of the way and sat down. Naruto looked to Iruka, who was there sitting with a grin. He gave Naruto a thumbs up. Naruto took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He put his hands together and proceeded to perform the task. There was a bit of a gasp as soon as he finished. "Oh no, it's that bad," Naruto said to himself as he kept his eyes closed. I can't believe it, one of the judges said. Out of curiosity, Naruto opened his eyes and looked back. He saw not one, but two clones, one of himself and the other of Iruka. They were both standing there, side by side, holding a bowl of ramen each and having a conversation. Naruto stepped out of the way and looked at them from another angle. He first looked at the proctors and then back to the clones. Are we accurate enough to be passable? The Naruto clone asked. The proctors nodded. Yes, you can pass with this. Naruto was shocked. Tears of joy began to run down his cheek as Iruka happily brought him his headband. Congratulations, Naruto. You're now officially a shinobi of Konoha. Naruto's smiling lip quivered a little before he buried his head into Iruka's chest. True to his word, Iruka would bring Naruto out to get something to eat. As they sat there getting a bowl of ramen each, Naruto and Iruka would speak. So what happens now? Naruto asked. Iruka looked over. This Monday, report back to the academy. There you'll be assigned a jonin and join a team. What should I do, Iruka-sensei? What do you mean, Iruka asked. How should I prepare? What all should I do? How should I grow stronger? I need more practice. Iruka laughed a little bit. Well, do your daily training and also look for your talent. My talent? Naruto questioned. Iruka nodded. Everyone has something they're very good at, and in most cases, even if it's unsuspecting, it can be turned into an effective jutsu. But how do I find my talent? Naruto asked. It's simple. Just try to do what you feel is right. But if all else fails, look to your clan. Sometimes a clan possesses special abilities, jutsu, or even a kekai genkai that you can utilize. So if you don't know what direction to go, look to your family clan. Naruto nodded. The two finished eating. He would then take Naruto home and leave him there. Naruto began thinking about all the things he was good at, but when he couldn't come up with anything, Naruto decided it was best to look into the Uzumaki. He made his way to the library, where he would take out a book on the Uzumaki clan and everything about them. As he read through it, he came to realize that the thing that almost all Uzumaki were good at was sealing jutsu. As he read through it, the librarian questioned him. Why are you reading through that? Naruto looked back. Because I'm an Uzumaki, and I want to know what my clan's unique abilities are. Can you tell me more about my clan? The librarian sat down for a moment. The Uzumaki were a very powerful clan. They were tightly bound to the Senju during the Warring States period, and were respected by the Senju so much that when we formed Konoha, the flak jackets we made possessed their pattern on the back to commemorate our friendship. Naruto was sucking it all in like a sponge. Family heritage. Sadly, the Uzumaki are all but defunct now. Naruto was surprised. What? Why? The librarian sat back in her chair a little. During the time of the Second Shinobi World War, the nations grew afraid of Konoha, particularly the Uzumaki. So they wiped the village out. Very few escaped the village alive. Those who did were scattered to the winds. You're not the only Uzumaki out there, but at current they're not planning to reform anything. It seems like the gene pool of the Uzumaki will simply be reabsorbed by random clans. It's sad to see a culture die like that. Naruto seemed really bummed out about it. The kind librarian smiled. Well, you could simply attempt to reform the clan yourself. I know Konoha would love to have the Uzumaki clan back once again. We even have a building here honoring the Uzumaki. They helped us build it years ago to help control the nine-tailed demon fox. The entire village practically sits on a massive ceiling circle. Naruto was amazed. Wait, the Uzumaki have a building here, in Konoha? The librarian nodded. During the age of the first Hokage, his wife, Mito Uzumaki, used to travel there all the time just to immerse herself in the culture. Perhaps you'd do well to visit. Naruto stood. Can you show me where? The librarian would show him a map that possessed the ceiling circle. See how the seal swirls to a single place? That swirl leads to the center of the village. The center of the swirl itself possesses a building. If you go there, you might find out more about your culture. Naruto thanked the librarian and asked if he could keep the book. They told him so long as he took care of it and brought it back when he was finished, he could hold on to it. And so Naruto raced out of the library with the book and ran in the direction of the building at the center of the swirl. There he found it, a single tower that extended into the heavens. As he entered, he noticed that the swirl continued inside, printing the ground with a pattern. Looking up, he saw that there was, fittingly, a spiral staircase leading up to a hole in the roof. Naruto looked around the building and found various books and other things. He would proceed to read them. It was the entire history of the clan, all the way back to the Sage of Six Paths. It detailed their origin, their deeds during the many wars, and their abilities to craft the best fuinjutsu in the world. Naruto was so enthralled by this place that he practically decided to move in. Bringing a bedroll, he planned to even sleep here. He was declaring this place his new home. Since he was the last Uzumaki in Konoha, this tower should belong to him. There was even a book detailing the other locations that the Uzumaki might go to. It talked about villages that were either friendly to them or oblivious to their true potential. 3 villages stood out: Konoha, a friendly village; Amagakure and Kusagakure, both small villages oblivious or uncaring to the matters of the Uzumaki. He began to consider his future, desiring to visit these nations when the time was right, hoping to find any stragglers who were willing to return to Konoha and rebuild their clan. Naruto was beaming with joy at the concept of having a family again, since he never really knew his own. But as it stood, he was getting sidetracked. He was so busy looking at the history that he forgot to look for the techniques he wanted to learn. He found a book of Fuinjutsu, and as he opened it, he looked through and found the various formulas, as well as information as to what each seal meant and what it did. He looked through them and was astounded to realize how many techniques there were. And the best part was that they weren't even Kekai Genkai, just hidden jutsu, which meant that he didn't have to hope he had a particular gene to use it. He just needed to study and work at it really hard. He read through the techniques: heel bite, 4-symbol seal, 8 trigram sealing style, Uzumaki sealing technique, adamantine sealing chains, tight binding golden chain technique. He then flipped the page and found one with a warning on it. The warning dictated that this jutsu was a forbidden jutsu, and that the cost of using it was the user's soul. It was called the Dead Demon Consuming Seal. As Naruto flipped the page, he found that the actual page it was on had been completely ripped out. Likely, this forbidden jutsu was taken and placed in the Scroll of Seals. Probably for the best. This place wasn't guarded, it seemed, and anyone could just walk in off the streets and begin studying. Honestly, it was a miracle to Naruto that nobody else knew these techniques or used them. Perhaps it had to do with the village attempting to keep the clan's secrets safe. What Naruto didn't realize, though, is that this particular building had its own barrier over it. The room in which he stood was hidden from view and unable to be entered by anyone who did not have strong Uzumaki blood. It could only be brought down from the inside. So Naruto didn't even know that he was reading from a hidden collection of books dedicated to his noble clan. All the same, Naruto was slightly disappointed that his clan didn't possess any unique Kekai Genkai like the Sharingan or Byakugan. The techniques he found in here could technically be learned by anyone, including members of other clans, such as the Uchiha or Hyuga. All the same, Naruto was glad to have a place to start. These books would help him learn to properly utilize the techniques that were endowed into him. The techniques he deserved to have. The techniques that were rightfully his. He was diving deep into his history and culture, and he was almost intoxicated with the truth of who and what he was. He would take these books to the roof along with various sheets of paper and would begin practicing, just as Iruka taught him. There was no way he was going to learn probably any of this in a day. After all, the sealing formulas were made up of some characters he recognized, but many he didn't. Perhaps ancient symbols. There was no way he could remember them all, but the thing he was most adamant about learning were the adamantine chains and the tight binding golden chain technique. The adamantine chains seemed to be a higher level variant of the binding chains, so he decided to focus at least on creating the binding chains, which, despite the fact that he was beginning to understand them, was still having an issue forming. He attempted to use the recommended hand signs to form them. While hand signs normally weren't used to form these chains, as even the book said so, it did note that in some cases, those either not of the Uzumaki clan or those in the clan who were just starting out their training could utilize hand signs to help them mold their chakra and form chains. Naruto would use these hand signs and would begin working on the basics of chain formation. After much practice, he managed to at least make one chain, though it seemed weak and incomplete by comparison to what the diagrams in the book showed and by the descriptions of it. But in the end, he was happy just to have discovered a jutsu like this. By the time he made it to this point, it was almost midnight, so Naruto decided to take a rest. Unrolling his bed, he crawled into it and tried to lull himself to sleep with sweet dreams of his clan, their future, and Fuinjutsu. The next day he awakened only to find he was late. He rushed out the door into the school. Bursting through the doors, he screamed, "I'm here!" There was nobody in the homeroom but Iruka. Naruto's shoulders dropped. "Am I too late?" he asked. Iruka looked up at him. "Naruto, you're late. Thankfully your Jonin hasn't shown up yet. You've been assigned to Team 7. Go to classroom 2B and wait there with your new teammates." Naruto bowed and left. He rushed out the door and began making his way to class 2B. He stood before the door. He was nervous. He didn't know who he'd be paired with. He gulped and took a deep breath. Putting on a cautious smile, he slowly opened the door. Stepping in and closing it behind him, he saw who he was teamed up with for the first time. Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Maybe they weren't his first choice, but he knew that he could have done worse. At least this would give him enough time to continue trying to break through Sasuke's icy demeanor. Sakura seemed disinterested to be here. "Sorry I'm late," Naruto said. Sasuke ignored it. "Better late than never, I suppose," Sakura said with a fake smile. Naruto would walk over and take a seat. "Honestly, you didn't miss anything. Our mentor has been keeping us waiting for the last 30 minutes. 45, Sasuke said simply. Naruto was surprised. He was a little peeved. How could a mentor make his students wait for so long? Naruto couldn't really judge them, after all. Whoever the mentor was probably slept in late too, but the point was, while Naruto was a kid, the mentor was supposed to be on top of these things. That's why they got paid the big bucks. As they sat there, another 15 minutes passed before the door finally opened. A pale-maned man with only one visible eye strolled in. "Sorry I'm late," he said. Naruto smiled. "You sleep late or something?" Kakashi shook his head. "No, I simply didn't feel like coming in at 8 a.m. and decided to have brunch first." "An hour-long brunch?" Sakura questioned. Kakashi smiled under his mask. "And some light reading." He held up his copy of Icha Icha. "Once I picked it up, I couldn't put it back down." Naruto was already skeptical of the shinobi and whether he'd make a good jonin for them or not. The jonin would then bring them out of the building and sit them down by the stairs and ask them to tell more about themselves. Naruto introduced himself and explained his likes and dislikes. "That's all well and good, Naruto, but what is it that makes you tick? What are your dreams for the future?" Naruto thought about it. "I want to lead the charge in bringing my clan back. I want to find every single one of the scattered Uzumaki clan members and bring them back here to revive my clan." It was an ambitious dream, but possible. It would only be edged out by Sasuke's dream of not only restarting his clan, but murdering his brother, who had caused a genocide against the Leaf. Honestly, it was a very sad thing that happened. In the years prior, around the time Naruto and Sasuke were both born, during the years of the 4th Hokage, Fugaku Uchiha, the Ninetales, which had been sealed away within his wife, Makoto, escaped. Naruto assumed that this is how Sasuke ended up with the beast sealed inside of him. Not many years later, Fugaku's oldest son, Itachi Uchiha, would proceed to destroy the entirety of the Uchiha clan in one night. Nobody could believe it. Naruto remembered when it happened. He didn't think too much about it as he wasn't one to pay attention to the news. All he really wanted to do was watch cartoons and play video games, but he did recall hearing some of the adults talk about it. It truly was a tragedy, and it seemed that the events had deeply scarred Sasuke to the point that he had obsessed over it and made it his whole life's mission. After this had occurred, Kakashi would proceed to perform the bell test with them as he normally would. And much like before, Naruto and the team would fail. After all, Naruto now and Naruto then aren't too far removed from each other. Both are rather useless as neither have awakened any true power or jutsu hidden deep within. But after sharing their food with Naruto, Kakashi passes the team as he did originally. After this, Naruto once more returns to the tower where he continues to study and train in utilizing chains and fuinjutsu. He manages to understand a few more of the symbols. It wasn't enough for Naruto to simply memorize them, he needed to know what they all meant and why they were used, what their functions were and what they were called. So he spent much of his time studying and memorizing the various symbols. And the time he spent away from the symbols, he spent working on his adamantine chains. He would continue his work with Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 as he continued to train himself, but it was getting obvious that Naruto was craving to prove himself in the field, as the missions he and his team were undertaking held no real fire. How was one supposed to increase in rank to Chunin if they could never actually do anything to gain experience? This plea reached the ears of Hiruzen, who decided to give them all a better mission. One that was relatively safe, but out of the village where the genin could get some good experience. An escort mission to the Land of Waves. Naruto accepted it with great joy. He was told to go home and prepare. And so Naruto would return to the tower where he'd begin packing, adding a little light reading material to his backpack, and by light I mean volumes of sealing jutsu techniques and history. He would get to bed early that night after a little more practice. He gazed up at the ceiling with a smile, realizing that his true shinobi career would begin in the morning. And this is where I plan to call it quits for now. I definitely plan to continue this story. I'll be honest with you, I am very excited about this. It's tricky to not make Naruto overpowered as everything else in the series tends to be. So by overpowered, I mean the things he was endowed with just for being born are things out of his control. So as it stands, he's just an average shinobi with some clan secret techniques. That should be enough. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the story so far? Leave a comment below and tell me all about it. And if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when more videos like this drop. And if you're itching for more right now, here's some other videos. Give them a try. Until next time, peace out.